Hey, I'm back. It's been a while. Because as you can see, it's January. And this month was supposed to be a great month, or a very bad month. Why? Because it was supposed to be the garbage dump month of movies. But because a certain thing that is happening right now in the world, um, there are movie theaters kind of showing new movies, or sometimes the newer ones that there are far in between. And during these whole weeks, I didn't find anything that caught my attention, not even in streaming. Well, but at least it took the opportunity for me to at least take a break from all these. But lo and behold, what a movie I decided to start out this year is none other than the controversial film Run, Hide, Fight. The movie that Hollywood doesn't want to show you in movie theaters, so it's been streamed by this streaming conservative news website called The Daily Wire. If I don't know anything much about The Daily Wire, I apologize, because politics technically is not my thing. I sometimes, for artistic reasonings, I listen or I hear them. I filter what is good, what is bad, and I do have kind of. And The Daily Wire is technically not for me. No politics involved, just in case. But why? So anyway, I'm not exactly kind of like very fond of that Daily Wire thing. Although I'm very open to see what kind of movie they decided to show. Another thing that I know about the Daily Wire is that it is one of the main guys that is involved in this is none other than Ben Shapiro. I don't know. He's a kind of like this really fast talking guy that he does political comments and everything. I did see some of his things what he talked about, without pulling any hairs. Here's technically my humble opinion about this guy. I think he's a fast talker that sometimes I think that he speaks faster than he thinks. Although I can't blame him. Even myself, I fall for that. The best way I can describe Ben Shapiro is that he is basically the kind of like the conservative version of Brian Griffin from Family Guy. So that's technically what I can say. So, but anyway, we got this movie, Run, Hide, Fight. So why is it so controversial that Hollywood doesn't even want it? Because it's about school shootings. Yeah, school shootings. Look, I know that for many people this is kind of like a very triggering topic. Honestly, whatever you would use, whether you want to make a movie or an art or something that has to do with school shootings, you're always gonna meet up with people that are overly shocked about the whole topic.
Children were shot! They were killed at a school where they were supposed to be safe!
Uh-huh. What else is going on?
Why does there need to be anything else? Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry, Sharon.
Why isn't anyone else emotional?
Yeah, pretty sensitive stuff. But here's the thing, guys. I'm actually very open-minded about this whole thing, because I know that this is something that nobody wants, but still let's not overly dramatize the whole thing, because because it's a thing that could happen anytime, anywhere, and yeah, I know that for many it's shocking. I'm not gonna be the kind of guy who says that it happened, sucks for you. I know that it's pretty kind of like it's kind of like a very sensitive topic. I don't want to be this kind of guy. I'm just kind of saying that yes, I do agree that that at least they're doing they should put some kind of emphasis to try to not have these things happen again, because any tragedy that happens, we as people, we have to try our best to not make it happen again. But sometimes when we let ourselves our fears of things that could happen or maybe will not happen, I think that sometimes it gets out of hand, especially when there are people, calling out saying that, oh, you make a movie about school shootings, you feel that it's insensitive. Look, no, because it doesn't matter, because anything can be, something topical about guns or hijackings or something like that, and probably we'll get some kind of action movie. Oh wait, lo and behold, that kind of reminds me that there's a movie called Die Hard that basically is a group of thieves terrorizing a big building and taking hostages to all these people. And it is up to John McClane to save them. Sounds kind of familiar in a situation that could happen to almost anybody. And while Die Hard is basically kind of like a movie that we just brush it up as, as dumb fun. So why can't we brush it up in case, like, the movie that I'm gonna talk about, Run, Hide, and Fight, which coincidentally, everybody is saying that is basically Die Hard, and but in a school shooting. So, because of my huge curiosity, even after the trailers, I decided to at least pay $14 for the subscription of the Daily Wire only to watch the movie. I canceled it right away. I just brushed it off as paying the movie ticket. Because I just want to move this movie, politics aside and everything, and want to see if this is gonna be at least a decent movie in movie terms. And what do I get? I thought that it was gonna be a terrible movie with propaganda. But I only got a little bit of that. Only a little bit. But as a movie, I actually was entertained. I was entertained both for the right reasons and for the wrong reasons. Because this movie, somehow it wanted to take itself so seriously, but at the same time, it didn't. In which it basically turned a movie that it wanted to be serious, but somehow it became a decent run-of-the-mill B movie that you're gonna see a lot of fault and a lot of stupid things that will say that no, that could not happen. But when you put it in a perspective of a dumb action film, you just come out saying that, okay, I enjoy it. There's some good points and bad points, so here goes. So technically the movie is about this high school girl named Zoe, who she basically has her her relationship with her military veteran father, her wormy best friend / lover, who for some reason this guy kind of remind me what we'll get if you cross the Billy from this grim Power Rangers movie from Lionsgate, and the and the wormy, useless, pathetic guy from the shitty remake of Black Christmas and blended into one. But yeah, she's technically about to graduate high school. There is something happening in the school in which the teachers are celebrating apparently prank day in high school, where obviously you're gonna meet a lot of actors who you're gonna question if they're really high schoolers or not. But long story short, the cafeteria is hijacked by a group of liberalist idiots who, well, they're with their guns. They begin to shoot people. They have bombs, and they hijack everyone in the cafeteria. What else there is, and he forces them to spread the word by publishing everything in social media, so they can see. Apparently, because they say that they were bullied, that the usual things, and basically our main character Zoe, not only she had the opportunity to escape, but she decides to play hero and decides to try to save as many people as possible. And that's the gist. We got instead of John McClane, we got this girl named Zoe. But before I go a little bit into further details about the story, let me at least tell you that there is some good acting. Actually, a lot of the acting is pretty good. Our main character, she's actually really, really good. And there's some promise on her to become a good character, a good, well-written character, which I'll get to that in a moment. Although of course that I will say that some of the acting can be a little bit unintentionally funny in one way or another. But that's mostly, I leave it to the supporting character who maybe it's not because of their acting, but it's mostly how they're written. Especially kind of like the villain. The villain, who is this guy named Tristan. He basically is the Hans Gruber of the movie. But the way he acts, well, he is good. Sometimes there are moments that you see that he kind of hams it up a little bit. He kind of begins to act like the Heath Ledger Joker Jr. saying, "Hey, what's up, everyone?" But to be fair, at least it portrays him like this asshole who he's not right on his mind. But the biggest thing that he has is that he is a really, really narcissistic, full of himself asshole. And you're gonna hate his guts, no matter how much they try to find some kind of excuse that they give him. But of course, that excuse is kind of really, really weak. So anyway, basically, you can't help but to sometimes give a snicker when this guy just spout out a lot of kind of like how can I say this Tumblr style dialogue. And I think that probably the first word he says is just trigger warning, or sometimes when he says, we got this gun is like the hammer, so and so we see you all as nails. Yeah, you're gonna from what I'm telling you, you can tell that this movie has kind of like really, really corny dialogue. Okay, plot elements. I gotta talk about the movie's checked up gun, in which the movie technically starts out with, of course, the father teaching our main character Zoe about the meaning of life by shooting a deer. And when a deer is kind of like, oh, I'm dying, she just comes in and kills it with a rock. And it was like, whoa, At least shoot it. At least it wouldn't suffer. The father was kind of like monologuing about the suffering, and you just come out and break the deer's skull. Oh, and by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing rumors. I don't know if it is a rumor or it is true or not, but the deer that they shot, that was real. Wasn't there a law saying that there should be no animal cruelty in the, when making a snuff film? Ah, well, it's still, I don't know. I saw a movie like that in Cannibal Holocaust, and I'm not very keen of that. Not about the hunting, to mind you. It's just killing a live animal on screen. But that's just me. But if it's a true rumor, there's some things that I have to think about it. But okay, leave that aside. What else I can talk about the movie? Some of the things about the procedures of what is happening, it kind of bugged me a lot. For example, first of all, one of the biggest things that this movie has is that I'm pretty sure that if it's a big fan just smashes through the wall of a cafeteria school, and then people begin to post everything in social media, and when they begin to shoot shotguns, handguns, AK-47s, I am pretty sure that these noises will be heard everywhere. Everywhere. And I don't know, these things are so loud that I don't know why there were then some scenes in which after all this shooting happened, there were some moments in which you see a classroom still having classes. I mean, what is happening? It's almost like, what's happening? Is this they hear, the bullets, and they're like, okay, that's okay, class, maybe they're fireworks. Oh my Jesus. That was kind of dumb. Also, it's kind of dumb that that when people begin to hear that there is this shooting, our main character who decides to play hero, decides to finally warn everyone, people then see her and they're like, no, this is a prank, goodbye and everything. Guys, if I see a woman bloodied and tattered all over her, prank or not, you should not think for a second saying that, oh my gosh, she's playing a prank, yeah. No. Sometimes you have to, I kind of suggest you to not take chances and at least look a little bit more closely to that. Oh yeah, and also when they finally realize that, yeah, these are dangerous people, that they're even putting explosives everywhere. I don't think that the best idea in the world on this is to have a lockdown. A lockdown on a school shooting. I'm not expert of this, but locking people down with potential killers is basically like you're condemning them to just stay there, even when you see them that they have a chance to get away. Well, maybe it's more. I'm not talking about the people in the cafeteria, but I mean everywhere else. I mean, I know that there could be a chance that the criminals will find them in the hallway, but there's windows. Okay, maybe if some people escape in a window, yeah. sometimes these things kind of make me, think about it truthfully. Makes me, I wouldn't say angry, I will say kind of passionate to talk about it. Oh yeah, and speaking of which, since this is kind of like a Daily Wire thing, or maybe a kind of like an indie film, you can tell that they wanted to make some kind of propaganda in which they wanted to say that, well, these kind of people, they're just looking for attention. They just think that they are self-righteous. They want to prove that, the government, technically the government left them behind and everything. Yeah, hard to believe when these people, well, they're basically, the villains are not exactly good people. And even all these action films, sometimes the adults are pretty incompetent. Like, for example, there is this the psychologist of the villain who just want to say, I wish I can help you, and boom. Yeah. And there's of course, there's the security guard who is kind of like Paul Blart, I will say. I kind of question, the realism of the movie, at least in movie terms, in which basically after the guy sees a teacher getting shot, this security guard pees his pants and he just runs away. Of course, but the first thing he does, instead of going, to a nearby phone to call the cops, or even get out of the building, the first thing he does is to go to his office or his cubicle and put on his new pants because he peed his other pants. Guys, you know what? I think that when you're scared shitless of a situation, I think that you will run out of the building even without your pants off. But maybe that's just me. Another thing that I will say that I actually kind of like about this movie is that the protagonist is actually kind of believable. She's not exactly, the Rambo type character or the Disney remake from Mulan character that many people not like to see, because our main character, she does have the appropriate things to actually kind of compare it to a female John McClane, in which for the majority of the movie she's shot on the leg, and for the most of the time she's limping, and you see her scared, technically trying to think of the way to, how can I say, to come up with the best of the situation. Although in my personal thing is that her trying to save us everybody is, it might sound self-righteous to a lot of people, but you're gonna give it credit because not many people are capable of doing that. Not many people, they manage to get away from a dangerous situation and say that, wait, I can't stay there. I feel bad. I gotta go back. Trust me, guys. I've seen anime tropes that they make this worse than this one, but at least in this one, it's kind of justified. Well, justified in the sense that at least she didn't go there and she's gonna face the danger, right ahead. She actually tried to play out a little bit more cautious of having people get away to safety without alarming the enemy. It's much more subtle compared to, well, a lot of animes in which sometimes they do it right or sometimes they do it wrong. Kind of remind me of that, one of the bad aspects of of that OVA course party. But that's something I'll leave it at that. What else I can say? Remember that I say that there's some things that fails on the conservative propaganda that many people kind of speak of? Well, I will say that I kind of brush it off because it's mostly on the age that is kind of giving. I don't take it too seriously. Although you do kind of get a little bit of a snippet with mostly on the villains, on how self-righteous these guys are. Even I do remember that there was even one point that this is kind of like when I say that these guys is when our the main bad guy named Tristan, he sees two of the hostages really hurt, and he's like, do we kill you? Well, do you know that Adolf Hitler in his Nazi parties, they made this treaty in which it kills off every disabled people because that way there will be less chance for babies to come up deformed and everything. Well, we're not the Nazis. We're better than them. Yeah, that's how big-headed these guys are. But I did kind of like the monologue that our main character gives kind of like at the end. Although I think that there is kind of like a moment of redemption of one character that I'm not gonna exactly reveal it for spoiler-free sake. But I will say this, that the way it was executed, it was a little bit by the book, I would say. It was kind of weak out. And they could have built it a little bit better, but I'll just leave it at that. I don't have much issues with the ending. I think that it was kind of like a appropriate ending. It's more like kind of like an action film. When the movie ended, I was like, okay. It was just an action film. I would enjoy it as it is. Nothing about that kind of affect me. And I know that, again, it may be a kind of like a sensitive issue for a lot of people, but take it easy. Please. If people have the rights to enjoy Die Hard, that doesn't mean that does that mean that this movie Run, Hide, Fight it doesn't have the right to live? No, it doesn't. It did what it had to do. I don't take the school shooting mostly like kind of like a propaganda, but mostly kind of like a setting or something like that. I know that there are movies like that. One of them is called Elephant. Another one that I heard is called The Dirties. I never saw those films, so I don't know how to technically explain these kind of films. But anyway, it's kind of hard to be very neutral on a movie of that caliber. So if you're curious enough, check it out. You have to be a little bit open-minded so you cannot be terribly affected by this. But if you're kind of like too sensitive about it, it's okay. I'm not gonna grip your arm about it. I just saw it as a movie. Technically, that again, it's not something that everyone wants to be in that situation. I know that it is kind of like a shocking situation. Life can be cruel sometimes and gives us the bad hand because there's pretty bad people like this ones. And the best we could do is to look at those bad things at least with cautious, and not let it be kind of put a negative wall on how we enjoy our lives.
Oh yeah, some kid shot up the school.
Who shot up the school? Was it you?
No.
Did you get shot?
No.
Oh. Well, what's this about failing a math quiz?